Right, so I've been stripping the other engine down, yeah, no real nasty problems with it. This is the engine that came in the car originally, and it's out of an SD1 originally. So let's have a quick look over the bits that I've got off it so far. I've not taken the block apart, but it's not far off being ready to go onto the frame. Right, so where it is down here, I haven't actually moved it from where it was sitting. However, now I can rotate it, put the frame on the back of it, and move it out. I'll need the engine crane to do that, which is a bit of a faff. First and foremost, the heads came off. Heads, I already know they're not in bad shape. I only put these on a couple of years ago, really just to get the car to see if it ran. There's nothing particularly nasty about this one. As you can see, it's all fairly clean, it's been skimmed. Bit of oil contamination down there, all the valves are nice and shiny. It's been rebuilt. This one, however, I'm less happy with, and the main reason for that is, if I swip it over, that it's got some nasty contamination, and as you can see there, this bit here is actually right on where the fire ring goes. So you can see where the fire ring goes because you can see the shadow around here from the gasket that was on it. And you can see that that shadow goes right next door to where that corrosion is. Now, it could be okay. It's a bit, touch and go as to whether that will be all right. If there's nothing else wrong with these heads, I might be inclined perhaps to give them the lightest of skims and pop them back on again. I'll have to put a thick gasket on if I skim these because I want to keep the low compression and the high torque. Right, clutch. Next one. Interestingly, Land Rover clutches don't have a flywheel first moniker on the actual clutch plate, and the reason for that is it don't go on the other way round. Nice design. I wish they all did that, because it'd be so much bloody easier than getting the whole thing back together again and wrestling with the gearbox to find you put the clutch plate on the wrong way round. Flywheel probably just needs a good clean. You can see where it's been sat for an awfully long time. The clutch plate, to be honest, it's on its last legs. It probably has would have had a few thousand more miles in it before it started slipping. Those rivets are probably less than a millimetre below the surface, the friction surface. It hasn't got down to the rivets yet, but it wasn't far off it. But it has worn nice and evenly. Good, nice quality clutch plate there. Clutch cover, similarly, probably the same sort of age as the clutch plate. I've not found any markings, manufacturer markings on it yet. This is probably the dangerous crap down here that's all tipping out a bit while I move it around. I've not found any markings on it yet. If there's no reason why I can't reuse that, I mean, I'll check the springs, make sure there's nothing obvious. I mean, the key thing with these, sorry, big bang there, I'll cut that out. If all of these are level, then all of the springs are doing well. I can bolt it back up to the flywheel again. I don't even need it to be in the car, so I can bolt it up to the flywheel and see if those springs all go down in a nice even way. If they do, then I'll probably reuse that. What else have I taken off? So the timing chain was worn. They're always worn. All the head bolts in there. I'm just trying to categorise things. One of the disappointments was, and I remember this when I put the engine together to see if it ran, all of the push rods are rusty. So I've not bothered categorising them. I'm going to replace all of the hydraulic tappets in there as well. Oh, I need to push the hydraulic tappets up first of all. So let's have hydraulic tappet up. That's that one. So, one hydraulic tappet. It takes the oil through a tinsy hole in this groove. There it is. Tinsy hole, focus. Tinsy hole, and the oil goes in there. And it pushes this plunger upwards and takes up any gap, any clearance in the valves, and the hydraulic tappets means you don't have to go around doing your rule of 9 tappet adjustments all the damn time. It is important to make sure there is enough clearance though. So right, let's have a quick look at this fella. Let's get some, should be wearing my gloves, I took them off to do the video, and cloth hanging up here. A bit of cloth will do. Back we go. Right, let's have a quick feel around on this and see if this is a new, I reckon that's new. I reckon that is brand spanking fucking new hydraulic tappet. And if that is the case, the way you can tell, I don't know what's happened with my focus now. What's happened? Right, there we are. The way you can tell is that the camshaft... Focus, you bastard. Right, let's go to the other hand. The camshaft rotates and rubs against this surface here. And if there's no obvious sign of wear, and I can't see anything on that, it's still got some cross hatching on it. It might have been started on them, but they look in fairly good condition. That's better. It's auto focusing now. Right, okay, so back to this fella. There we are, it's focusing. You can see that that is a very, very well used hydraulic tappet, and this one, by comparison, to be honest, doesn't look that different, does it? It just looks cleaner. It's got less burn on the top of it, but then the engine's been less abused. I don't know, I'll take advice on whether these need to be reused. Interesting, they're different styles. I wonder if this is the original style, and that's a reproduction, because this one came out of the Land Rover low compression engine, which had its original Hepalite pistons and its Vandervelde bearings in it. So these are quite likely original style of hydraulic tappets. There are some quality issues with hydraulic tappets at the moment. I'll pull all these out. I'm not particularly fussed about which order they go back in. Actually, no, I am going to be particularly fussed about which order they go back in, so I should number these. The reason for that is, if I get the camshaft out and decide I want to reuse it, then it's important that these buckets go back into the same place. So what I'll do, I'll just line them up on the bench like this until I get the camshaft out. Right, let's get the camshaft out. Gloving up. Right, okay, so I've taken it all apart. All of the hydraulic tappets are lined up in order they come out of the block. Camshaft, to be honest, looks brand fucking spanking new. There's some marks on it, just where I've taken it out, there's oil dripping on it. That is like a new camshaft, and I suspect they are like new hydraulic tappets, which is interesting. So it does look like Alan, who I bought the car from, when the car arrived, the heads were off it. The timing cover had been off. Interestingly, he hadn't changed the timing chain. And for the sake of a couple of quid, that's interesting. I'm going to take advice on this camshaft as to whether it's worthwhile reusing it. I'll see if I can find a part number on it again, find out what manufacturer it is. But it does look, on the face of it, to be pretty good.